Welcome to the 702 Gaming Podcast, episode number 18.
Yeah. Man, we're 18 in. Are you kidding me right now?
Dude, we could go to jail.
Oh, I don't want to do that. I didn't know that was an option. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Please don't take us to jail. Yeah, dude, I didn't think we would get that far in. Or if we did, I didn't think it'd be this quick. So
Yeah, we got here quick.
we did.
You're right. We've been pumping them out like we've been
Yeah,
promising. So
I like
I
it.
hope you guys are enjoying the content. We got viewers, so someone must like it out there.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
People actually like to hear us and then see our faces.
that
Weird.
part's
Yeah,
weird.
I don't like to see my own face.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I want to give a shout out to WASD Moves on YouTube. He's a new listener and he's been hitting us up on there. And I just want to say, what's up? Thank you
Yeah,
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I mean, like the fan feedback, new subscribers, we love that. So
Yeah,
love it, love it, love it. Thank you. And I'm giving a shout out to my lovely mother-in-law who created this from scratch for me.
that is amazing.
That's pretty awesome, right?
What is that?
So
It's
this,
frightening.
it is. This is a Christmas ornament that was just white, and then she painted the eyeball on it. This is like that foam stuff that you put in the walls. She did each individual clump and kind of put it all together. And yeah, I mean, I have a game room that has a bunch of horror themed stuff in it, so she made it for my game room. Like, she's pretty BA. That's what she is. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's
And
pretty awesome.
it's got to fit in perfectly there because it's pretty terrifying.
It is.
You know what it reminds me of is when Han Solo and Chewbacca got locked in the trash compactor.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe
Yeah,
that's what
that's
it
the
was.
creature living in there. That's
Maybe that's what
perfect.
she was going for. Hey,
I
Lady
love
J,
it.
love you. You're awesome.
Where do you keep them? Just in
Uh,
your game room?
yeah, so I have a bunch of collectors movie monster mask, and some that are proprietary. Um, I have, each on ghost shelves, and I'm a big horror movie guy. So, anything scary related. And again, like I said, this fits right in. So, um,
Well, I think this episode is going to be right up your alley then,
and why is that?
because we want to talk about scary things.
Oh my God. Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it. You'll notice we're missing our counterpart because he
He
said he
got
was
too
too scared.
scared.
He said he was too
Yeah.
scared.
He was here
Yep.
and he turned all white
Yep.
and disconnected.
Yes.
So,
I didn't want to say anything, but it would be scarier if I did that.
yeah,
Whatevs, though. I
I'd
don't get
take you to
that
the
scared.
hospital. Yeah.
Please do. Right? Anyone who knows, please do that. So yeah, horror games, scary games, those type of memories. What do you got?
I just wanted to start off with I've played games before this that were scary, but this was one that really stuck with me for some reason
Hmm.
all these years. And it just did such a great job at keeping me playing it, even though it kept scaring me. Condemned. And this was
Oh,
on, I think it was the original Xbox or the
it,
360.
I think it was on the original Xbox because I
Okay.
want to say it was a PC game as well.
Yeah, I think it was on there.
Yeah, that's a
What
good game.
I loved about it was there was a lot of melee weapons versus I think you could get a gun, but it would be like, you'd run out of bullets right away. But
Hmm.
you just have all these psychotic like gang member, I don't know what was wrong with them, but they would make weird sounds, scream their head
Uh-huh.
off, and they would run at you like around the corner real quick. And just their movement and stuff at the time was just scary to me because you didn't see that in games where it was very like flailing their arms around and
Mm.
when they swung at you or you swung at them, if you missed, like, is drastically they're spinning because they missed you, but if they hit it would bounce off of you.
Yeah,
It was just
I remember that. Like you paid for missing.
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
That was something
and
that
they
always
did
stuck
too.
with me.
If you could just back up and they missed you,
Right.
you could, yeah, get them right back. But it did a lot of things where you're going down hallways and you would hear a sound behind you and you turn around and the doors close that you just came through.
Mhm.
And as silly as that sounds now, because it's like, well, it's a video game, of course they could do that. To me at the time was like, whoa,
Right.
this is freaking me out. Stuff like that was freaking me out.
uh,
And it kept me sweating the whole time.
uh,
I think things with humans or human elements to it, like if it's a freak of a human, it's scarier to me than a monster.
yeah.
Monsters I love, they don't really scare me too much. I think that's what's scary about a zombie and stuff. It's still just enough human to scare you.
Hmm.
And it kept me sweating the whole way through. I don't even know what the ending is because you're in a diner and you're talking to someone and he's explaining to you or you're figuring out that certain things are in your head.
Hmm.
Well, you go outside of the diner and you pop the trunk at the end. And you have a gun in your hand, and just like that, it turns into allowing you to make a choice. And there's a guy tied up in your trunk. I pulled that trigger so stinking quick and got to the credit. I was too man. That dude didn't know what hit him.
That's
He
awesome.
was
Like,
like,
I'm done playing this, right?
man, the trunk opened and I just blam. That poor guy thought he was getting
He was
free.
like my savior.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm
So I don't
releasing you,
know the
sir.
last conversation. I'm assuming he talks to you for a minute.
Oh, I
He
guess we'll
didn't
never
talk to
know.
me. No. Yeah, that's how that game ended. But it
That's
always
awesome.
stuck with me and it was just a good time. I love that game.
That's awesome that that's what is scary to you is the more human element to it. Like, I mean, I'm kind of desensitized now because, I've watched so much horror, but I
Well,
think
you live in a house with that thing next to you.
this is true. Don't let him talk
What's
about
going to
you.
scare you?
Um, I think what is scary to me, so body horror is, like the Cronenberg type of horror where, your body's falling apart and things like that, the decaying of the living body. That is horrific because we live in a world where we do have elements that'll do that, so that stuff is scary. I get that. Monsters and things like that. The reason I like that probably more than like your zombie type of thing
Hmm.
is because it's the fantastical. I like that, right? I want something that I'm like, yeah, they really thought about that and they created this because nothing like that really exists. So when I think about that, the obvious Resident Evil to me, like the zombies in the game were never scary, but once you get to those things that are like, I think they're called hunters. They look like frogs, and anyone who's played the game knows like they'll jump, and it doesn't matter if you have full power or not. They'll jump at you. One claw takes your head off, and you're dead. Like that was the scary part to me of Resident Evil, right?
I think, are you talking about the one? I think the first encounter you get with one of them is you're going down a hallway, and I think it breaks through a window or something. It's up on the ceiling,
That's the
and
liquor.
your character. Oh, that's the liquor.
Yeah, like it looks like it's made of licorice. It's all red, right?
Yeah,
And it
it
moves
almost
really
looks like
weird.
Carnage or
Right.
something.
Yeah, those are the liquors because their tongue is
Liquors.
crazy long. But these, I'm pretty sure they're called hunters. It,
Okay.
they're horrible. They're horrible. You finally make it like out, of the mansion, and you're like, oh man, I've been stuck in this mansion this long. I get to see something outside, and then it switches to this first person view, and something is running, and you hear it, and you're like, oh, I wonder what that is, right? And then it switches back to you, and you're like, what's about to happen? And then you see it, and again, it looks like a really buff frog with like these long white nails, and it lunges at you, and one hit doesn't. And of course, you didn't save, right? It's only going to do that if you didn't save. You're out of ink ribbons, and everything just falls apart from there. So, but yeah, that I like creatures over like the human type of stuff
Yeah,
more so.
Resident Evil is a cool franchise, just that it's zombies, but it's a twist with it, right?
Right, right.
There's zombies, but then there are also those monsters that are were any of those monsters, I don't know the lore, were any of those monsters at any time a human? Did they
Yeah,
turn into that?
the
Okay.
majority of them.
Okay.
Yeah, the majority, like the Titans, I'm sorry, the tyrants, and I guess the liquor, all of them, every single thing. The Dobermans obviously were dogs, that crashed through the windows. So everything has been infected. I think it's in part four, which was some of the better body horror, even though that's not my favorite Resident Evil. I know it's everyone else's because it's like, oh, it's so much action. Like, yeah, give me more scares instead of that. But uh, I forget the guy's name now, but he seems to be like the boss of this part as you get to the village and you're fighting it out with the Spaniards, and he's bald, and when you finally have to fight him, he essentially his body turns into that of a centipede, and the
Mm.
way it looks is like, oh, that's horrific. That's horrific right there. So it's a nice mixture of the monster and the human element to it. I love that.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely
cool.
love that. Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect intro into my next game that I just recently beat. Um, I know it's been out for a little bit, but Resident Evil 7
Yeah.
Biohazard. Um,
I knew you were going to
I
beat it. I knew you were
yeah,
going to.
I played through actually once I started going, I couldn't put it down. It was
Nice.
I gotta say that game is awesome.
Nice.
I
Nice.
loved it that you're in this house, you're in this small area. Um, I mean the graphics I mean this one isn't even doesn't have any upgrades for the Series X, but
Mm.
just how it is amazing
It
looking. It
looks
has some
really
kind
good.
of filter on it, yeah, that makes it look like you're really there.
Mm.
Um, I just love the whole you're in that mansion and you got to take out Pops, then you got to take out, and this is after they tortured you
Right.
and your
Right.
girl and your wife. It's wild. Like some things happen to you, and oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
first time my girlfriend took a chainsaw to me, I was scared.
Yeah. It's normally over when that happens. That's when you're like, we got to sit down and talk.
Yeah,
Right.
usually you bring up, yeah, get a lawyer.
Preferably before you lose an arm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Preferably.
like, yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess she figures, what's yours is mine kind of
Well,
thing.
obviously you screwed up. Like you did.
Yeah.
I don't know what you did, but tell the rest of the men so they don't do that. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever it
Please don't
was.
take my hands off.
Yeah, don't take a chainsaw to me, please. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think the graphics as they stand right now with that game, and can't remember exactly when it came out. I want to say it's
I
four
think
to
it was,
five years old.
yeah, I think it was 2017 when I looked at the date.
So, I mean, that goes into a whole other thing where you're like, look at that game, and look at games right now. There's
Yeah.
some graphical differences, but there's not a giant leap where you're
Yep.
like, oh, that's obviously retro, right? Like we're not
Yep.
saying that. So,
Yeah,
um,
that game's got it, man.
yeah.
And it's got the jump scares.
Hmm.
It's got the intensity of it because they're always following you around
Right.
while you're trying to complete tasks, and it's ooh,
So, do you
it's
think it was scarier because it was in first person? Because that's the very first time that Resident Evil went into a
I
full on first person game.
I do think that helped it
Mm.
be a little bit scarier. I think it makes it feel like the things that are happening to your character is a little closer to home. Like I said, when he gets his hand chainsawed off, it's pretty like,
It's pretty
whoa.
visceral. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think third person has its place though, like Dead Space and Resident Evils could still do the third person thing. I don't have anything against it.
I think, yeah, I was just about to say that because anyone who's played, just Resident Evil or, um, I mean, I guess for scares, it'd probably be, well, I don't know. I guess Resident Evil is the one. I was going to say Silent Hill, but Silent Hill is more of like a psychological type of horror, where this is more like visceral, in your face type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that you absolutely, where you get it's in your face happening in first person. Yes, that's scary, but it's also something to see your character and see it happening to him.
Yeah.
Whereas like with the first Resident Evils, what they call tank controls, those controls work so well because it restricts you in a way
Hmm.
that makes you panic because like we didn't think they were clunky back then. It was just controls, right? So you just move forward and you move back, and the speed in which you do both of those things. So when it's going down and you need to try to get out of there, there's no quick turn. You've got to
Yeah.
like tick, 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 tick,
Yep.
to get away. It's like,
Yep.
oh man. So yeah, I
And the
think
panic kicks in.
yes,
Yep.
anyone who remembers Nemesis busting through a wall on you in part
Yeah.
three, like I mean, throughout the game, he haunts you throughout the entire game. And
Yep.
it seems it is actually scripted the way he does it, right? But it doesn't feel that way. Depending on what you do, depends on where and when he busts through a wall on you, type of thing. But your first time playing, you don't know that. You just
Yeah.
know that should I go down that hall? I don't know.
Yeah.
I went down
Yeah.
last time and it was cool. This time I'm not thinking, but I picked up that ammo back there this one time. So, and that was different than, there he is. So, again,
Resident Evil's just has such a good track record with the scary games.
it does.
I really like Biohazard. I want to try Village because I liked Biohazard so much. I know it's a little bit different, but I still want to try it. Um, One thing I didn't think I was going to like on Biohazard was that it's nowhere near zombies. They aren't zombies. Like they're talking to you.
Yeah.
They're just like a hillbilly, weird, like wrong turn type of family
Yeah. That's
that you're
actually a good
visiting.
description of them.
Yeah,
They seem like those
but
people, or the people from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part
yeah,
2. They seem like that family where you're like, how did I end up here? Right. Like,
yeah. Where's the highway?
right. It's where? Like, it's so much further than what I thought. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually liked that aspect of it. It was just cool, and the way they tied it into the Umbrella
Right.
Corporation and everything still was cool. I liked it. It was
See,
real good.
that's why you've got to, I know, it's you're so far removed from them, but you really should take the time and play part one, two, and three, at least those.
Maybe the remakes.
Yeah, I beat the remakes. That except for part two, I still haven't beat that one yet. But man, they are
Yeah,
just so
maybe I'll
good.
jump through those.
They're
Yeah.
so good. The stories are, I mean, you've played through seven, so you know that story. You've got to see what happens in the Spencer Mansion. You've got to
Okay.
experience that, man. Got to experience it. And I got to say, puzzles in third person, I prefer over first person. I'm not a fan of
That's
that.
that's the one thing I don't really care for in the games is puzzles. I'm just not a puzzle guy.
Mhm.
I end up getting frustrated, but I found that if I like the game enough, if I get stuck on a puzzle, just look it up. You know,
Man,
I know it's not cool, but to get me
did you hear
past
what he
that,
just said? God,
dude,
like,
that
we're
thing is,
watching you, all right?
yeah, that thing's pissed.
At you. You see the red in the eyes. Come on. So yeah, I'm one of those guys that's like so against that. As I've gotten older, not that old. As I've gotten older, I don't
Yeah, kids.
necessarily have time to be frustrated.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's my main thing. When I was younger, I remember going to school still thinking about that puzzle I'm stuck on
right,
in Jurassic Park 3D or whatever that
right,
game was
right,
and trying to figure it out while I'm not playing.
right.
Now I'm like, you know what? Just complete it and move on because I want to enjoy this whole game. I hate being stuck on something.
I
I
agree.
think I only had to look up one, maybe two things the
I think
whole
you're a
playthrough
liar,
though.
but
Yeah,
it's
I
okay.
am, but not about this.
Um, yeah, I didn't look anything up for this. I'm not above doing it though. The one game that I refuse to do that is any of the God of War. And there's a lot of like you'll get to some puzzles where you're like, I'm done. I'm
Yeah,
just done. This isn't fun. I want to be tearing someone's body in half. I'm not tearing anyone's body in half, right? I'm just sitting here
yeah.
moving stuff and I'm waiting for the water didn't drop into this bucket like I thought. So it all resets. Let's do it again. Yeah. So I'm not above looking up a guide, but that one, since those are like my games, I try not to do it.
Try not to.
Yeah,
I
but I'm telling
appreciate
you though,
that.
man, you gotta don't sell yourself short. Experience one, two, and three. You gotta experience those. And if you've seen
Yeah.
any of the horrible movies, some of those things will make a bit of sense, just a little bit of
Well, I
sense.
wanted to ask you, did you hear that they're doing a reboot or
Yeah,
a restart on those? Sounds like they're
yeah.
trying to go a little more.
Good. They want to make it good.
That's what they said in the,
uh,
yeah.
that would be
They're like,
cool.
oh man, this next movie, it's gonna be good.
That's really the description. It could be
The
entitled
poster.
Resident Evil the good version, and I'd go and see it because those movies are just bad. They're not even like popcorn flicks to me. Like, there's nothing wrong with a popcorn flick. Let's go in, sit down, enjoy it for what it is. And you know what? That was fun. I just saw Free Guy over the weekend at the theater,
Okay.
and great movie, absolutely fun the entire time. Loved it. Right? It's not the Grapes of Wrath. I don't need that in that type of movie.
Right.
Um, but in the Resident Evil movies, it was so I can't even say it was dumbed down. They weren't even like movies to me. I didn't even know like what was going on.
I feel like the Resident Evil fans of games don't like the movies, and I don't think the Resident Evil fans of the movies play those games.
I would tend to agree with you
Yeah.
on that. I mean,
And
I'm
I
sure
don't
there's some
think the
outliers.
director of the Resident Evil movies knew that there were games.
I think Paul W.S. Anderson is one of the worst ever. So yeah, the one movie he did that people really liked was Event Horizon, and I thought that was just weird, you know. And
I liked
then
Event Horizon.
I think it's a weird sci-fi movie. You know, I mean, it's like
That's why I liked it. It was so out there.
it's out there, it's out
Yeah.
there, but that is like,
Right. Event Horizon is where Grant from Jurassic Park
yep,
teleports to the other dimension, and
yes,
the other dimension is hell.
so weird, it's so weird, man, it's so weird.
It is a weird movie.
That's a weird flick right there.
Yeah.
But it gave him enough steam to get the backing to do Resident Evil, you know. And I went to the theater to see the first one, and I seriously sat there looking around at other people that were like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What are you guys watching? What are you watching right now? I don't. I can't. Give me your glasses, right? I gotta see what you're seeing." So yeah, hopefully whatever they do with the remake, and I'm not all about remakes, please remake this one. I don't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, make an actual Resident Evil
I
movie.
mean, for the Resident Evil fans of the original movies, because I there must be because they made a lot of them.
True.
Um, I think there's enough of those out that it could be justified to just restart the whole thing. Like, they're good. They had their like 7 movies.
They had their run.
It's okay.
Man. Man, did they
So,
have their run.
have you been playing any games lately, or is there any newer games in your mind that have frightened you?
So, um, the only, I guess, scary-esque type of game, and it's not scary, and people will understand when I say what it is, but it's horror themed, would be
Okay.
the new Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the horror part of that is how hard it is. It's so hard, so hard. Um, but it gives me all the feels. It gives me all the nostalgia that I want, right, from the originals. It's got a lot of the same levels. To be honest, I don't necessarily like the graphics. It's kind of like a cell shaded look to it. Um,
When did that game come out?
this year,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it
I
came out
think I
this year.
saw some clips on it.
Yeah.
Is it you're the knight, right?
Yep.
And his legs are kind of
Yeah, he's
when
got
you
like a
jump, they kind of
he's got a little
yeah.
jump. It's not as
He's
bad
got
as
the
like
Luigi.
Toad from
Okay.
Mario. Yeah, his little legs don't do that guy, but
Okay.
his jump's pretty bad. He doesn't have the double jump in this. And again, fans of those games know what I'm talking about with the double jump. So he doesn't have that. But it's man, yeah, it's definitely that game. So no, it's not scary, but it's got the themes. You know, your girlfriend's kidnapped. You've got the little flying devils that come in and everything, and so that's cool. I'm also doing the new Diablo.
How's that
Man,
so far?
it it looks so good. It looks so good, and it is Diablo 2, and that's what I wanted. I wanted Diablo 2. They gave me Diablo 2 with a nice coat of paint over it. And it's got really cool things where you can switch from the new, like I'm running it at Ultra HD. So that's 3840 by 2160. So that's what I'm running it at, but you can switch on the fly between the original version
Oh,
and, the newer version, which is crazy to see that. I'm like, oh
yeah.
my, and I personally think the old version still looks great. The voice acting is great. It's not, Diablo is not a scary game, but it's horror themed. I'm
Yeah.
a necromancer. That's always been my character class. I love raising the dead to come and fight for you, and it's I love the fact that you can't just raise them. You've got to actually kill someone first and then pull the
To
skeleton
get
out of
your
them.
army.
Right, like I love that.
Yeah, that's
The
cool.
voice acting is flawless. It's got enough of the 20 years ago cheese to it, but it's done so well. It's perfect, man. I absolutely
That's
love it.
cool.
Absolutely love it. So
That's
I'm
cool.
having a nice grind fest with that right now.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And boy,
Well,
it's some
hey,
grinding.
let me bring up one more thing I forgot to bring up that actually recently scared me, thanks to my friends in Oregon.
Hmm.
Uh, so they have the Oculus and they put the noise canceling headphones or whatever in my ears.
Yes, yes.
Uh, they put some game on where you walk into a house that is quite creepy.
Uh-huh.
And then you just basically the game is just to get through the house. And I didn't realize how scared I was going to be just going through the house. You didn't have to complete any puzzles or anything. You just walk
Okay.
through it. You know, doors open and close and stuff like that. But
What's that called?
once once you're in VR, I don't know, I'll have to ask them, but once you get in VR, it's a different ball
It's
game, man. The
right.
sounds,
Right.
the way they're able to trick you to look back and then
Hmm.
look back forward and now there's a little girl in front of you
Yes.
or there's someone
Yes.
walking on the ceiling and oh my goodness, or you go out of the room to get away from them and the door closes in your face and
See,
so you have to just sit there and watch as they torture you in the room. Oh,
this
so
this is why I said VR is its own thing.
yeah,
Like
it's
these
a
are
whole new.
experiences, right, that you can't have in any other form of video games.
No, because you can cast the VR right to someone's TV
Mhm.
or their cell phone, and people are watching what you're experiencing.
Right.
And it's just not scary when you're watching it like that. It's
No.
like, why is this guy so scared? As soon as you put the headphones on, it's your turn. You go gulp.
Yeah. All right. Because you're like, I'm in
Oh,
this.
it's like all your friends are gone, everything. You're just in this world. And I mean, there was stuff where, you know, you think you're gonna fall down this pit and you just look down and there's boards falling and
Mhm.
you just look like you're gonna die. So you run across it, but as you're running across, paintings like fly off of the wall
That's awesome.
across your view.
Mhm.
And as they do, they write in blood, look behind you. Man, I didn't look behind me.
Ah,
If
come
I
on,
could
man.
hear my friends yelling, "Hey, look behind you! Look, man! Nope, I'm gone."
Like you're
I don't
breaking the
know.
immersion.
Yeah, I
I'm
heard
not
something
doing
behind me.
it.
I did not look. I
That's
was not
awesome.
about. I barely made it through.
See, that again, that's why I think VR is it's cool to do exactly what you do and leave it at that. You
Yeah.
know, like they're before the fall is coming out, hopefully by the end of this year. Like we're hoping to see an announcement here pretty soon. Like I'm part of the development team. But it's like it's basically like Left 4 Dead in VR. It's supposed to be a bit more slow moving. So just that aspect of it is going to be frightening, you know.
Yep.
And it's cool that you can do it with four people too. So, you
Yeah.
know, now you feel
I'll
like
download that.
that would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll
you and
play
I
it.
can
Yeah.
scream together,
Yeah.
you know.
I will be scared.
Yes.
That's
So
guaranteed.
it's always more fun with friends. So,
Oh.
you know,
And he's a cute little guy too.
I'm not gonna tell that you said that. Yeah. I mean, you can here, you can tell.
No, no, no. I don't want him showing up in my bedroom
No, you don't
later.
want that.
No.
But yeah, though, any of the VR titles that are horror themed, like even the crappy ones, are really
Yeah,
good.
they work well.
Yeah.
They just really work well to immerse you and get you into that.
Well, it shows you how important spatial awareness is. You know,
Yeah.
it's one thing again when you're doing this on a flat screen. It's another thing when you hear it over here.
Yeah.
So your instinct is to go,
Yep.
you know,
Slowly look to the
yeah,
left.
let me just take a peek over there. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
honestly, you know, horror games are just scary games in general. Like, um, I think for me, the game that started it all, is probably Castlevania. And I know that
Hmm.
that's not a scary game. It's not that, but it's horror themed. And it
Yeah.
gives you, you know, Dracula, it gives you the Frankenstein monster, it gives you the Hunchback. Like, I love that. And even though that's born of like the old Hammer horror films, you know, the old school type of movie monsters, but it's still like it was so much fun at that, you know, at a young age. Like, wow, I'm playing like a horror movie. You
Yeah.
know, like I
I love the horror movies, like
yeah, like I
all
love
in
that.
one.
I absolutely love that. So
That's
to this
cool.
day, that's why, you know, Castlevania is definitely one of my favorite games of all time. And not just because it's a great game and just incredibly hard, but it's a horror game, you know, that's not scary.
Yeah.
Same
I
thing
think
with
if
Resident Evil.
like you're talking about the spatial awareness and the sounds, especially if you put on those headphones and you have some kind of like Dolby or whatever, it really works to amp it up.
Yeah.
For someone like Josh that isn't into the scary games, I've found that if you turn,
Mm.
yeah, if you're like that and you don't like it, you can play it on a TV, don't use headphones, and
Right.
turn down the sound, hear it enough so
Mm.
you can play the game. But that tones it down a ton.
It does. It does.
Yep. As soon as you do that, you aren't nearly as scared. You could play through something that you might have missed out on.
Yeah, there's so many good games that are horror themed, that yeah, you're missing out on a lot of those. I mean, obviously, Dead Space is a great example of a horror game that is also for the sci-fi fans.
Yeah.
It's a nice linear game that is told in a way, and it nudges you where you're supposed to go, but it's told in a
Hmm.
way that you're scared, but there's no way that you don't want to see this through to the end
Yeah. Yeah.
because you like your character, right? Like I got this dude's back. I literally got this guy's back. We're doing it. So like there's not too many games I think that make me feel that way, other than horror games. My first time playing Claire Redfield in Resident Evil. I always play the girls. But I'm like, man, we're surviving, girl. Me and you, us, we're a team forever. Like we're gonna make it through this, you and I. Other type of games don't really make me feel like that. I mean, some games do. The Uncharted games, you're definitely like, Drake, we got it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are few and far in between, though. But
Yeah.
horror games, you're so connected with the character that you're like, oh, I'm beating this. We got it,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
gosh, I got to do that Alan Wake. Ugh,
Oh yeah, I
I
think that
need to
came out
do that.
today.
The remake of it is out today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
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 Gosh, that's been on the list for so long. Man, how long is what's your backlog look like? Because mine
Well,
sucks right now.
yeah, mine's looking rough, especially because I have games on there that take a lot of time.
Right.
Especially, I bought the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I went ahead and bit the bullet and just bought it.
That is your
Um,
game series, man.
this is my fourth time playing through those three games,
Oh.
so and I know how long they are,
Ah,
so I'm like, that one right there is going to be killer.
oof. Hats off. I'm not wearing one. You are. But if I had
Oh,
yours, I'd be like, bing, right?
oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, those games are super long. Those and the uh what are they? The BioShock games.
Yeah, those are
So,
my jam.
I mean,
Yeah.
wouldn't you consider those to kind of have a horror element to them?
Yeah, yeah, there is. There's a lot of moments in there, especially the first one.
Mm.
Yeah.
They have that in VR. I mean, it's not the full game, but
Still, I
it,
want to experience that.
you've got the hardware for it. Just saying.
I know.
Just saying. I think you would lose your mind. Like, man, where is he at? We got like 9 podcasts we need to do.
I'm
Like,
here.
yeah.
I'm,
Like he's in the Matrix somewhere. So yeah. You know, this is not horror based, but we need a Tron game in VR.
that'd
That
be a
is
good
what we
one.
need.
Actually, the graphics would be perfect because
I
it
know.
they it doesn't really have texture and stuff, right? It's just the neon
It's the neon outlines.
outlines.
Right. I
Dude.
think that would be a great VR game. And actually it would be horror because the movie it wasn't
Oh man,
it
yeah. The
wasn't it
CGI
wasn't good.
Jeff Bridges
Oh
face.
god.
Yeah.
That was horror. It was horrible. Like you guys spent how much money to do that? Why?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just put a couple more Tron disc in there. We don't need to do that. uh,
All
oh,
right. Well, I think we're gonna jump in and do some more horror games, I think
yeah,
too.
we have to, man. We
I
have
think we
to.
will.
I would like to see what Josh's backlog is, you know, especially of horror games. Because I'm
Yeah.
gonna say everything we mentioned now, he hasn't played any of them.
Like not even tried them.
Not even tried them. I can
All right.
guarantee you he hasn't tried any of them. When we get him back on, we gotta ask him.
Yeah, we will.
This
Yep.
is the list. Did you
Josh,
do
be
any of these?
ready. Yeah, did you do your homework?
Did you do any of your homework?